For my project, I had cartography, and basically I had to list the locations which Chris McCandless traveled during his journey. Okay, so here's a basic key. Right here, the roads are green, rivers are blue, and this is the actual journey of Chris, and this is the mountains. So Chris's journey starts out in Atlanta, and then he eventually travels over to the Houston, Texas area, and he stays there for a little bit. Then he moves up to Detroit, Wash, where he actually loses his car, and then he sort of hangs around here, the Grand Canyon area, and in this. Then he goes up this towards California, Oric, and then Astoria, and then finally Seattle. He then travels across Washington to Wisconsin. No, not Wisconsin. Montana, to Cut Bank, then to Carthage, where he actually finds a home that he sort of likes. But this all lasts for about 2 years, so he doesn't immediately head to Alaska. Okay, so eventually he goes up, then to Dawson Creek, Canada, then to Liard's River Hot Springs, Canada, and he eventually arrives in Fairbanks, Alaska. In Fairbanks, Alaska, he gets some supplies and then heads to Stampede Trail, where he goes into the wild and eventually dies. Okay. So these are the quotes that I had to relate to the locations. And the first quote says, "I now walk into the wild," which is found on page 3. This connects it with Stampede Trail, which is in Alaska, because he is walking into the wild. "I am a hobo now." This shows that Alex is off searching for a job in Seattle, which is in Washington. "I enjoy working here and things are going very well." This is when he finds almost a home-like place in Carthage, South Dakota. And then it says, you had a wonderful chance on your drive back to see one of the greatest sights on earth, the Grand Canyon, something every American should at least see once in his lifetime." Alright, on this journey, he goes to the Grand Canyon and many other places, and he enjoys the natural beauty of it. That relates. And then the 5th quote is, "And then once the time is right, with one abrupt, swift action, I'm going to completely knock them out of my life." This is in Atlanta when Chris is about to start his actual journey. Then the 6th quote says, "No longer to be poisoned by civilization, he flees and walks alone upon the land to become lost in the wild." This signifies Chris in Fairbanks about to basically go in the wild. He wanted to get away from civilization. The 7th quote says, "The great holiness of food, the vital heart." This shows how valuable food was in Stampede, and that you had to really, conserve it, so you would have enough. And the 8th quote says, "Grade-wise, things went pretty well, and it ended up with a high cumulative average." This connects to Chris's time spent at Emory University in Atlanta. The ninth quote says, "I arrived up here 3 days after we parted in Grand Junction, Colorado." This signifies when Chris and Franz actually split up in Grand Junction while Chris is headed to Carthage. And the last quote says, 10 days and nights of freight trains and hitchhiking bring him to Great White North. This connects Alex to the arrival at Fairbanks and his travels through Canada to get to Alaska and eventually Stampede Trail. And this basically concludes my presentation.